of course, it's always important to collaborate also within the Euregio Muis-Rijn. So I'm very happy that together with LRM, we are able to work on this study on the user experience. And for the operators out there, within the context of the Walloon Relance Plan, there will be a tender that will be sent out for some shuttles for the Liège campus in the nearby future. So we'll keep informed on that as well. So my perspective is really looking at what is the user experience. And some of you already have used the shuttle today. The trajectory, Tim explained perfectly this morning. So in my presentation, I assume you all listened very carefully to Tim's presentation and that you're still aware of where the trajectory will be actually based. Now, the goal of our data collection is really to have a look at the user experience. So are we actually satisfied with the service that is put in place? And also to look mainly at the users of the resort. Are they using the shuttle? And if not, what are the reasons why they are not using the shuttle yet? Basically, to collect information on the users, we did two types of data collections. The ones that actually use the shuttle already, you might have seen this beautiful QR code inside the shuttle. So that's one of the data collections. So that's the in-vehicle-based data collection. On the other hand, we also asked the visitors of the Terhills resort whether or not they are actually already using the shuttle service. Now, the way we can deal with satisfaction is the way they typically do this in marketing-related studies. And the key factor for marketing-related satisfaction with services is the Net Promoter Score. And basically, what is the Net Promoter Score? On a 0 to 10-point scale, you ask people how likely they would recommend a particular service to a friend or colleague. So, and in this scale, the super positive scores, the 9s and the 10s, are considered the promoters, the ones who give a 7 or an 8 that are the passives, and the ones that give a score from 0 to 6 that are called the detractors. And the NPS is basically the sum of the promoters minus the detractors. So if you have a super good service, the maximum value that you can get is plus 100. If you have a very bad service, the minimum score is minus 100. So, and ideally, of course, we have positive values for our different transport modes. Now, I actually recently supervised some master theses on the satisfaction with public transport, particularly in the case of the LAN and the SNCB. And the values that we see there are for the LAN minus 34, sorry, for the SNBS minus 34, and for the bus transport even minus 50. We did a similar study using only the staff from the University of Liège. In that case, it's the tech and the SNCB, and we see the same tendency. Negative values for public transport, especially negative for bus transport. So do we have to be afraid for what comes out for the shuttle or no? So this is a deeper study from the staff from the University of Liège, where we ask for their main mode. How likely are you willing to recommend your main mode to different friends or colleagues? And we see extremely positive values for the bikes. We see extremely negative values for bus, train, and solo car transport. Now, we are dealing with a public transport, a kind of public transport system. So I repeat, overall, this vision is considered extremely negative. Of course, if we want to find a reason, the disinvestment for years and years in public transport by different regions is, of course, one of the reasons why people are not satisfied with the service. Think about the lack of drivers, which was mentioned before as well. That's, of course, one of the reasons why people are not satisfied. But now the good news, the satisfaction with the Terhills transport system. So, and we see an extremely positive value. And on average, this Net Promoter Score was 54. So an extremely positive value on the Net Promoter Score. And this is based on all the people that filled in and completed the survey, so more than 400 respondents on which this value is based. So I would congratulate Tim for the excellent project, because actually this service is really considered as a positive aspect, and this is probably and maybe an important lesson for public transport operators. If you're managed, like we have here on the Terhills side, to realize that public transport or the transport system becomes an experience, then the experience itself is valuated rather than the transport. So it becomes more than just a trip. It becomes really the experience of new technology. And that's what we clearly see in this study. Now, of course, we also want to dig a little bit deeper in what plays a role. And what I'm just highlighting are very fresh results from Sunday evening, so from the latest state of the questionnaire. And what we find is basically what type of user you are is actually influencing your satisfaction. And the people residing in the resort, they are a little bit less positive than people actually staying in this hotel, or people that are just visiting the site for a single day. So we might dig deeper with some additional person-based interviews on why this is the case, but this is one of the results that came out of it. I remind you, all of them are still very positive. I showed you the super negative values for public transport. Here, for all categories, we are still in the positive field. Also, there is a clear gender difference. So females appear to appreciate the shuttles considerably better than males. Also, age, elder people are considering having a better vision on the shuttle. And related to this degree, there seems to be this kind of quadratic effect where lower and higher educated people are having a generally better evaluation than people with a bachelor degree. So there seems to be some kind of effect there as well. A very surprising result for me was if we look at the daily modal practices in general, so people that indicate that they use the car for their transport almost at a daily basis, they consider the service way better than people who don't drive daily. Maybe this is a sign that driving with a shuttle is a kind of relaxed relief, and you're getting out of the stress and getting the experience of the shuttle. And maybe it's this is showing that it is really like an attraction that can potentially release your stress. Then, in terms of cycling, we also saw that people who are cycling on a daily basis also perceive a little bit better this service. Now, we also asked from where you're coming from, and we didn't find any effect of country of residence. So Belgians, Dutch people, people from elsewhere, they're all considering the same, have a same appreciation of the service. And whether you're using bus, tram, or metro, or whether you're walking at least 10 minutes every day, that also doesn't seem to play a role. I do acknowledge it's our still initial results, so together with Tim, we will dig deeper into this. What we also looked is what are the dimensions of the experience with the shuttle, and we see that all these values are close to the maximum value, so everybody finds the system rather efficient, smooth, interesting. Today we had a lot of focus on safety. Everybody considers the shuttle safe. It's quite comfortable, and especially it's a pleasant experience. So I think if we have one lesson that we can draw, if you make the experience pleasant, then people are actually satisfied and with the service. Now we also asked for those that were in the Center Parcs resort, why didn't they use the shuttle yet? So, and clearly you see, don't consider the shuttle safe, 0%. So the safety aspect, which was really at the core of the conception of the shuttle service, really had the effect because everybody considers the service safe. So that's really an important thing to highlight. And also efficient. So safety and efficiency is guaranteed. The main reason why people from the resort are not necessarily using the shuttle is because there are a lot of other transport modes available. In the beginning of the day, you had a presentation from the mayor that showed you all the tools and tricks that are available on the site. Voilà. The fact that there is a multiple of options and unique experiences results in the fact that not necessarily everybody is using the shuttle service. Then, of course, the goal is to keep monitoring. In the beginning of the day, Tim gave this presentation of the different phases of the implementation of the project. The goal is that we keep on monitoring to see also whether the satisfaction remains equally high, even if the steward is not there anymore. So we have to be able to measure is to know. So the ability to monitor the transition is a crucial step in this regard. So if we have to have a takeaway on the presentation, is basically an extremely positive, and I really highlight the word extremely positive experience of the system. I showed you the graphs of the NPS for daily transport modes. It's considered really positive. People consider it very safe, pleasant, a fun thing. But, of course, I highlighted some of these key differences. We need to find out why are these socio-demographic effects taking place. What is underneath? And hopefully we then find reasons to also improve for the others even further the experience of the shuttle service. So I have to highlight the partners which make it possible to have this data collection. And if you have any questions or want to connect, there is the QR code to connect to me.
Thank you very much, Mario. Very happy, of course, that you are able now to present very positive news here about that. And of course, our congratulations to the people who actually made this possible, not only financially, but also technically. So this shows, at least for me, that we are on a good track with the project. But any questions about user experience? Yes, Ali. And after Ali, I will get back to this side.
Thanks, Tim. This is Ali Pirdavani from Hasselt University. So by no means I want to undermine the good performance of this system. But I have a question for you. So regarding the positive responses or the points that you demonstrate, don't you think that the context is different, and you compare this only one-time experience with the experience of public transportation that we basically deal every day? So do you think that it's a fair comparison or not? Thanks.
That's a very good question. Of course, the context is very specific. The people that are visiting the site often visit this for leisure reasons. So that's definitely an aspect that makes the overall evaluation better. But still, I think we need to learn from this. And I think the main lesson is if we have to consider public transport more than a trip. Here we show if we are really able to provide a unique experience in your trip making, then the evaluation is better. Of course, we will not get the super high values that we find for the shuttle here, but I think the main lesson for public transport is if we are able to provide add-on experience during our daily trip, that the story becomes improved. And I think that's the main takeaway that we definitely also have to take.
For the next question, I will go to our previous speaker again.
Yeah, actually, I had the same question, but maybe as a follow-up, I just feel that the experience would wear off. You know, I mean, an MBS can give me a really nice experience. This morning, I had a delay of a half hour. You know, I mean, after a while, yeah. Anyway, maybe some more thoughts on that.
In response to that, we have collected information on how many trips they made with the shuttle, and the decaying effect didn't appear so rapidly. So I agree, if you keep on doing this, the unique experience will fade away. But at least for the ones that are a couple of days here, they seem to remain quite happy.
Thank you for your presentation. I will be in the following way than the two previous ones. Probably it's difficult to compare public transport and this experiment, but how could you try to measure the facts that, yeah, okay, it was the beginning, it was a kind of surprising effect for the people, but if they use it every day, like public transport, how their happiness could be evolved? And what are the main limits of this system to according to the expectation of speed, reliability, cost, and so on?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So at this moment, the service is for free. So that, of course, plays also an overall role in your overall evaluation. So the goal is to keep on monitoring the effect. Of course, from a methodological point of view, it will be challenging to connect new entries using the satisfaction survey with older ones because of GDPR. We don't retain who actually responded to the questionnaire, so that will be a challenge. But there is one question on how many times they have already used the system. So that could be one variable that could indicate this kind of attrition effect. So far, there are not that many users that respond multiple times to the questionnaire, and the ones that indicate, the majority only use the shuttle once, twice, or 3 times. So there are very few that actually use the shuttle 4 times. For the low variation in this variable, there doesn't seem to be an immediate decaying effect, but I agree completely with you. If you would use this every day, then it's to be expected that we will have much lower values.
Just to be clear, we understand that we are comparing apples and oranges, but we had no other way to put the results a little bit into perspective. So even despite of that, we think it helps to put it a bit in perspective.
Yeah, normal. Just keep in mind, and I'm sure you know that for PT daily use, paid people, they move essentially for work, for duty, and here they are for pleasure. So probably it will be a bias too.
Well, many speakers want to pick in. Sorry, Olivier, but...
Maybe just an observation from a real project. We were driving in a hospital site, and we actually had regulars. We drove there long enough to have regulars. We had old ladies, like you described, who took the service every single day to go around the hospital site. And for the underlying reasons that you mentioned, it is predictable. They can order it themselves on their own convenience, and they don't have to bother anybody. They don't have to talk to any hotel personnel. They feel no one has to go out of their way to actually transport them in different places. So for them, it's a better experience than being driven around in the golf cart. Even some of them like to talk to the guy, but some of them prefer to have the autonomous shuttle as an option. And I always just compare it to the self-service screen in McDonald's. Do you still go to the counter to order your own burger, or do you go to the self-service screen? I think a lot of people go to the self-service screen because it's actually the better customer experience now. And there are some analogies to this as well.
Maybe we can conclude with a final question, Olivier.
It was also to put some perspective on your figures. First, thank you very much. Even if I had a heart attack during the first 3 slides, saying, okay, what are they going to say as a result? So thank you that the results are positive. I'm from EasyMile. That's part of the answer why I was so stressed. On the question, is it safe or not? The results from the survey actually are in line with surveys we got from other sites, where we read lots of articles in the literature of people being afraid about autonomous vehicles. Actually, it's never what we see in real life. And also on the 2 areas where we are now fully driverless without stewards on board, we haven't seen any drop. So I cross my fingers that it will be the same here. And we have the same thing that we don't understand. It's mostly promoted by the elderly people. So same thing with the fact that it will be less adopted by the older people. It's not something that we see in real life. So very interesting to see that here it's with a huge database confirmed those results. So thank you very much.